All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to start today's meeting. Well, good morning and welcome to today's meeting of December 7th, 2021, the Hempstead Town Board. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Clavin.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Here. Councilman Muscarella.
Here.
Receiver of Taxes Janine Driscoll. Here.
I now ask that Councilman Dennis Dunn lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All rise, face the American flag. Place your right hand over your heart and join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask everybody to remain standing. Last week, the town family, as well as all the residents, lost somebody near and dear to anybody that's ever worked in the town of Hempstead. No matter what you do, former councilman, former town attorney Joe Ra was taken from us way too early in life. He was a great friend to everybody in this room. He was a great individual to help guide people. He was a real advocate. And if you're from Franklin Square, everybody knows the entire Ra family. May God rest his soul, and ask everybody to join me in a moment of silence for Joe. God bless. Councilman Dunn, also?
Yes, this is the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And if we just remember them, those that perished that day, and what happened with our country since then, 80 years since Pearl Harbor.
Thank you. Before we start the formal meeting today, we have a special presentation. During the pandemic, the town is fortunate enough to partner up with some real leaders in the communities, people who advocate and really focus on helping them. One of those, and no stranger to anybody in this room, is Island Harvest with Randy Dresner. She has been a steadfast friend before the pandemic and since about different concepts, ideas, to really help people during this pandemic. And all of you saw firsthand the amazing things she's done with Island Harvest. One of the most amazing was the Nassau Coliseum with the food drive with the long lines. And I've asked Randy to come on up and give a couple of words and tell us about the project she's working on. But let me also say, on behalf of the 800,000 plus residents here in the town of Hempstead, to Island Harvest, and particularly to Randy, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your vision, thank you for your wonderful ideas, because with you, you fed over 1 million people during this pandemic, and without you, Randy, leading it, it would not have happened. God bless you, and thank you very much for everything you've done for everybody.
I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Jamie Franke, who does government relations with Island Harvest, and with Phyllis Chacon, who designed and managed the program that allowed us to distribute food out into the community. So we're grateful to have been able to be a small part of the work of helping residents of the town of Hempstead. Truth is that no one should go hungry in the town of Hempstead, right? And because of the incredible support of the town of Hempstead, we're doing our best to make sure that this is true. Island Harvest is grateful to have the opportunity to run the No One Goes Hungry in the Town of Hempstead program with generous funding from the Town of Hempstead council members and Supervisor Don Clavin. And we're grateful for that support. The program was rolled out in 2 phases. The first was developed and rolled out in August through December 2020, serving residents who were homebound during the pandemic. So many residents did not have the ability to secure groceries. Recipients were veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, and as we said, many were instantly quarantined and unprepared to care for their families. At that first phase program, we supported over 1,200 residents of the town of Hempstead and distributed over 210,000 meals, which was absolutely incredible. Phase 2, which recently began in October and November of this year, was designed to meet the changing needs of the residents of the town of Hempstead. Some were back at work. Many were able to leave their homes within a reasonable distance, and kids were back at school, but food insecurity still existed. And so we planned a program that would speak to the current situation while providing access to nutritious, healthy foods and services. The program included home-delivered meals, as the first phase did, but we also added what we call a just-in-time delivery at schools in specific communities that needed our support. In this phase, we have already surpassed our goals and maintained all our costs and remained on budget. We have so far supported over 329 clients each week and have delivered more than 26,400 meals through this program in this phase. And in our Just-in-Time program, we support 360 families each week with more than 2,100 premium box meals that we distribute at these schools. Anthony is an Army veteran and a senior citizen from Valley Stream who tells us each week when we deliver to his home how satisfied he is with this program. Anthony was a returning member of our original Phase 1 program, and imagine his struggles as a veteran, living alone on a fixed income and challenged by the rising cost of food. He has found our service to be immensely helpful and tells us every time we deliver. At a recent just-in-time distribution in Hempstead, we got there at 2:30, just about an hour before the program was to begin, and already more than 30 families were online. The school personnel did an amazing job to reach out to all the school families, and then within a short period of time, an additional 100 families joined them for this food. Through this program, in both phases, we have supported close to 2,000 Town of Hempstead residents who were most in need of food, support, and services. Each had a unique need, whether it be an illness, age, ability, quarantining, or transportation. But the funding from the Town of Hempstead and the generosity from our council members and from Supervisor Don Clavin allowed us to support these families, these children, these veterans who really needed our help. And so together, the Town of Hempstead and Island Harvest had the opportunity to ensure that no one goes hungry in the Town of Hempstead. Thank you. And thank you.
I want to thank Randy and her team for everything they've done. And I think a lesson that we've learned here in the Town of Hempstead, when government teams up with entities like yourself, great things to be done. So I think I'm safe to say that this partnership will continue. We look forward to a long-standing relationship and in continuing the great work that you've done. And again, this is really about you today. So and we just want to say thank you, Randy, to you, Island Harvest, and everybody. God bless all of you.
All the people at Island Harvest. Thank you.
Randy, we're going to do a photo. Stay with us. Get the center of attention.
Check 1 2 check.
Okay, thank you again. And Madam Clerk, would you please call the first public hearing?
Okay, and before we call the first public hearing, I would like to, we have so many luminaries in this room today, but I would like to welcome Ragini Srivastava, who is the North Hempstead Town Clerk-elect.
Hey.
Here with her husband, Ashti, as well. Thank you for joining us. All right, the first public hearing is a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Baldwin, Franklin Square, Lakeview, Merrick, Oceanside, and Wantagh.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Oh, okay, well, would you do that then? I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding parking and standing prohibitions in Elmont, Levittown, Oceanside, Uniondale, Wantagh, Westbury, and West Hempstead.
Does any member of the town board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public here wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion?
Motion that we close the hearing and move the item.
I second the motion, but next.
I'm sorry.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding arterial stops in East Meadow, Elmont, Hewlett, near Island Park, Levittown, North Valley Stream, Seaford, and West Hempstead.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I don't have any slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion?
I move. Close the hearing and move the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding prohibition of left turns in Bethpage.
Okay, any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I do not have any slips. Any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion? Please.
Supervisor, I move the public hearing be closed and the local law be adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding bus stops in Levittown.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion?
Make a motion that we close the hearing and we vote on the item.
It's very busy today. Yep.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding gross weight restrictions in Uniondale.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I don't have any slips on this item. Does anybody in the public wish to be heard on this item? If not, may I please have a motion?
Close the public hearing and pass it. We will pass this.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law on a handicap parking on public streets in Elmont, Franklin Square, Inwood, Island Park, Oceanside, Uniondale, and Wantagh.
Any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? Okay, I don't have any slips on this item. Any member of the public wish to be heard on this? If not, may I please have a motion?
I make a motion that it gets adopted and approved.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law to amend Chapter 121 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead entitled Smoking by adding a new Article 4 entitled Cannabis Opt-out in the Town of Hempstead in relation to prohibiting the retail sale of adult-use cannabis as authorized by New York State Cannabis Law Section 131.1 with adoption subject to a permissive referendum.
Okay, I have a couple of slips on this one, interesting enough. If you have not filled out a slip, I will ask you to, if you're in the public, to take the time, go to the back to fill out a slip to be heard. As I said, I have a number of them here, so I'll start with Health Commissioner in Nassau County, Lawrence Eisenstein.
Supervisor, if I may, before we have public comment, I just want to, for the record, and I will hand them over to the clerk, I did receive letters from the following school districts in favor of the opt-out: Baldwin School District, Long Beach School District, Malvern School District, East Rockaway School District, hold on, Oceanside School District, the Island Park School District, Limbrook School District, Hewlett, Woodmere Public Schools, and that's the emails that I received from school districts. I will submit copies to the clerk for the record.
Okay. I also will remind anybody that is going to speak here today, as I said, we have a number of them. You go to the back podium and you'll speak when your name is called. And thank you, Councilman. We'll submit that to the clerk and make that part of the record, all those school districts.
I also have the Seaford School District's opposition, support of the opt-out. I'd like to also add this to the record as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other board member?
I'd like to add also Franklin Square Union Free School District and West Hempstead Union Free School District to that.
Okay.
I
Councilman?
received from North Belmore School District and Levittown School District, who was here also.
Wonderful. Okay, so all these numerous school districts, well over a dozen plus, we will submit their opposition to the clerk for submission and part of the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll start with the Commissioner. How are you? Oh, and I will remind everybody you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the council, it's great to be here with you. The last time I was here was for a hearing regarding recreational marijuana, and that was in 2019. I had been asked to be the task force of the Public Health Subcommittee, which included members of every hospital in Nassau County. It included academic public health leaders in the county, associations related to public health, and I published a report, which anybody can see on Nassau County's website, regarding what the findings were. The findings from the health community as a whole are that we're very concerned about the risks of recreational marijuana. We looked at all of the research that's available. There are many, many articles. I've brought 4 of them with me that I think are most pertinent. One of them is the committee report that anybody can find on Nassau County's website. State of Colorado is well known for having been one of the first states to legalize use and sales, and they've done a remarkable job, their state health department, following the health effects. And going back to 2014, with each year we've learned more. I have with me their 2020 health update regarding recreational marijuana. I think it's important to point out, as you consider an opt-out, that while Colorado has the reputation of being the state that's most progressive with marijuana use, more than half of the counties in the state of Colorado have opted out to sales. So even in the state of Colorado, this is not something that's done everywhere. And within Metro Denver, it is legal, but many of the suburbs of Denver, local jurisdictions, have opted out of commercial sales in Colorado. My job is to talk about the health benefits and risks. One of the biggest concerns that you'll hear from public health leaders, and this is an article from the United States Department of Health and Human Services, data coming out of states that have approved and seen legalization of recreational marijuana. After all of our efforts in public health to help people stop tobacco smoking, people who initiate marijuana use have seen an increase in tobacco use as a whole. You've all seen the commercials relentlessly trying to help people, and we're so proud that in Nassau County we're down to a smoking rate of about 7% of our population, way lower than it was 10 and 20, 30 years ago. Millions of dollars have been spent to try and help people get off of tobacco, and we'd hate to see it go the other way. There is a clear debate over a certain term, gateway drug. I'm not going to use that because there's a scientific definition which can be debated, but one thing is not debated. While we acknowledge that not everybody who uses marijuana recreationally will go on to harder drugs, virtually every person who uses harder drugs at some point is involved in marijuana use. And so while I'm not going to use that definition, there's clearly an association and that's also included in Colorado's report. Couple of
Dr. Eisenstein, I'd like to ask you a question. In Colorado, since they have collected a lot of data, has there been an increase in the hospitalization rates and the medical treatment of people that are using recreational marijuana?
In fact, in this report, which is 75 pages and worth a look, the Monitoring Health Concerns Related to Marijuana in Colorado 2020 by the State Health Department, the last 4 or 5 pages are charts, graphs of marijuana-related adverse events. And you can see, it's hard for the group to see from here, and I know I'm standing far back, just on this last one alone, this is literally the last page, but you can go in and look. Crude rate of emergency department discharges with marijuana-related poisoning or adverse events. The rate has tripled since 2014, and these graphs are very available to everybody. And the biggest concern with that is many of these cases are in small children who are poisoned, just because it's in the community and available and being sold. So when you see triple the hospitalization rate after legalization, and there's a line showing when it became available publicly for commercial use. So that's another health concern that health leaders point out.
Dr. Eisenstein, I just have one more question. Has the American Medical Association taken a position on recreational marijuana use?
The American Medical Association, the Nassau Pediatric Society, almost every major healthcare-related association has taken a position in opposition. Some of them, this statement is, use with real caution and monitor the data, make sure that there's resources if this is going to go forward, but with real caution and watch it. And almost all of these major associations, including what you just said, are absolutely in opposition, including the New York State Association of County Health Officials, which is all of the health commissioners and directors of the 58 counties in New York State have a position in opposition. Obviously, I'm just one member of that, but the point of me making that is that this is just not me, the one health commissioner. It's the association of every one of the health commissioners have come out taken that position.
Doctor, would you submit your report to the clerk, Kate Murray, so we can make it part of the record?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
In addition, Commissioner, what's the website so anybody who's watching either here today or at home can go review that report? They go to the county website?
The one on the county is, yes, it's on the county website. You know, I didn't bring the HTML, but it's under the marijuana policy tab.
Okay.
For the Colorado data, which I think is really pertinent because we now have a few years, good years of studying, and in public health, it just takes time to see what the impacts are really going to be. The website for that one, which has all the graphs of hospitalization, a list of what health impacts are real and which are not real. And we admit some of the things we expected to see didn't happen, but some of them did. There's these graphs which show, for example, there's substantial evidence that daily use of marijuana causes chronic bronchitis, wheezing, and pulmonary conditions. There's substantial use that it causes precancerous lesions. There's substantial evidence that while nicotine may not be in marijuana smoked, certainly some of the cancer-causing chemicals are in both. So there are a lot of parallels. There are other things that we thought in health we might find that we didn't, to be fair. But I think it requires education to look at the real data. That website for that, which I think everybody should take a look at this because it's compelling, is marijuanahealthinfo.colorado.gov. And they've done a great job. And so, you know, my job is to protect the health of our residents in the county. We're very proud that we are #1 in virtually every major health outcome ranking. We want to keep it that way, and we want to take the proactive measures to use the data. This is not an emotional reaction. This is everything I've just said to you is listed here in these reports. So I think that's really important.
I have a question in reference to Doctor. Did your report include automobile accidents?
Yeah, so I was just going to get to that, but I saw my time was up. So the Institute of Highway Safety in 2018 did a thorough report of all the states that had legalized recreational marijuana, and the evidence was 6% on average increase in automobile accidents, including, and this was what's most concerning, a 4% increase in fatal motor vehicle accidents. And that's an average. Some states the numbers were a little higher, some states the numbers were a little lower. But you're talking about 5 big states, including Colorado, California, a huge state, Washington, Nevada, and another. So the data is clear. I don't think even the advocates debate that there are an increase in automobile accidents in states that have legalized recreational marijuana. And of course, we're all concerned about the safety on the roads.
Commissioner, thank you very much
Commissioner,
for your
I got one
work.
quick question for you, if you don't mind. I don't know if you would have this information, because I don't believe anybody from law enforcement testifying today. When I retired from the police department 2 years ago, there was no accurate breathalyzer test for marijuana to deal with these increasing auto accidents. To your knowledge, is that still correct today?
Nothing approved. We've heard of technologies coming down the pike for that.
But at this time, there is no way to...
I'm unaware of it. If there is, law enforcement, not my specialty, but certainly that's a concern. And when you read this report, one of the things is it says, if you've ingested 10 micrograms of marijuana, it takes 4 hours to reach a peak and 6. But it's very different than alcohol, where we have a general understanding of your blood alcohol level and how much comes in per drink and how much goes out per hour. We don't have that for marijuana.
Okay. That's what I thought. That was the big concern that law enforcement had 2 years ago, and I believe it still exists today. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing, if I may. When you say 4%, 6%, it sounds trivial, but if you give the real numbers, it's thousands.
Yeah.
So I think the better impact on the study would show how many thousands of car accidents and fatal car accidents are caused by the use of marijuana.
And that's why I mentioned the states. I mean, when you're talking California, you're talking millions and millions of people. 4% increase in fatality is a lot of deaths.
That's right. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Commissioner, thank you very much for taking the time here today. Thank you for your edification, and thank you for the informative sites that everybody should really take time to review. And we will actually make that 75-page report part of the record. And thank you very much for coming and giving us the time and educating everybody here today.
Thank you.
All right. Next, I have Legislator Denise Ford. Good morning, Legislator. Welcome to Town Hempstead. The tables are turned.
Good morning, Supervisor, and the members of the Town Council, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you. And I'm going to be very brief because we have a lot of speakers who have a lot more information than I have in regard to this issue. But I just want to remind you that probably less than 2 years ago, the Nassau County legislators voted unanimously to opt out when it was considered on the county level. But the state changed the legislation to allow the local municipalities to opt out or not. I believe that this issue should be brought to the public to allow them the opportunity to consider the pros and cons of the sale of cannabis or marijuana products in their neighborhoods. By opting out, a petition can be started to allow this to be a referendum, which the public can weigh in by voting. This will give us time to understand the impact these sales will have on our children and teens, main streets, or the bottom lines on sales tax, or the cost of increased public safety and public health. It is worth noting that the state has imposed stricter oversight on these stores, as they should provide an educational section. Residents should be given the opportunity to see these types of stores and make an educated decision if this is what they will allow. There will be the ability to restrict where these stores can be located, but we have to ask ourselves, where will they be most likely located? Despite their attractive storefronts and interiors, we have to consider what is being sold, which can ultimately land in the hands of our children, as some of these products are chewable. We have heard the argument that our teens are already using these products, and this should make us consider, if we give our blessing on this, will it signal to more teens that the use of cannabis products are okay? Will these establishments attract more people to hang outside them? And as there are no loitering laws, how can we prohibit this? The public needs to understand that when people can buy it legally, they can smoke it, whether in their yards or porches, whether in their homes or in an apartment. Children will not be shielded from this, as the smoke will eventually blow into the yards where they are playing. As you can see, there is so much to understand about this issue, and as we are coming off the worst of the pandemic, we need to allow our constituents the right to make an educated decision. We have questions, and I'm sure that there are many more that need to be asked and answered. There has not been an adequate notice given on this, so I ask that you vote to opt out and allow this to be truly vetted. Thank you.
Yeah, Legislator Ford, for clarification, you are also chair of the Public Safety Committee of the County Legislature?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Legislator Ford, I just wanted to thank you and my former colleagues who I served with for 22 years for showing their leadership and setting the tone that this is not going to be acceptable in our communities. So thank Rich Nicolello, our leader over in the town, the county rather, and you for your being here today. Thank you.
Councilman Dunn, I thank you very much, and I appreciated the time that we worked together. And you know that how we all support, these type of actions and the issues when we look at this. We do look at them on a whole, but we have to make, we have to make the decision as to what is best for our communities and especially what is best for our children. And I believe in my heart of hearts that opting in is not the way to go, that we have to allow us to be able to look at this. When we hear Dr. Eisenstein, who actually has been recognized nationally for the work that he has done for the public health here in Nassau County, that we take a look at some of the statistics that he has given to us and the charts and realize that this is something that we really have to take a look at and investigate, what the outcomes can be for our communities. But I
thank you, legislator, and Happy New Year, and please take care of Bruce.
I'll be back up later. So
Next, I'm going to call up Levittown Superintendent Tony McDonald.
Supervisor Clavin, members of the Town Board, thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak on this important issue. I'm Tony McDonald. I'm the proud superintendent of Levittown Schools. I'm also the president of the Nassau County Council of School Superintendents and speak on behalf of that organization today. The health and well-being of our students has always been a top priority of our schools here in the town of Hempstead. We have worked together with the town to educate our children about the dangers of tobacco smoking, and together we have made headway. Just a few years ago, the numbers of young people using these products was in a historic low. But the emergence of e-cigarettes, which are unsafe and which will inevitably cause long-term health risks, has changed that trajectory. Tobacco companies have found a way to market at our students, and it worked. We are once again at war with big tobacco as we fight to teach our students to ignore the sophisticated marketing of the tobacco industry. Not only do these materials represent a serious health hazard for the young people of our community, but they've also become a disruption in our classrooms and schools. Instances in which paraphernalia has needed to be confiscated on school grounds continues to increase. Now we must contend with the possible recreational use of marijuana in our communities. Allowing the sale of recreational marijuana in our community will only make the current challenges of our schools that much more difficult. My comments regarding the sale of e-cigarettes are proof enough. E-cigarettes are not legally allowed to be sold to our students, and yet many of our students have easy access. The New York State Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, new adult use cannabis program, if adopted here in the town of Hempstead, will provide youth easy access to marijuana and exposure to pro-use advertising. I urge you to vote to opt out and not allow retail dispensaries and/or on-site consumption businesses from operating in the town of Hempstead. While the law expressly bans advertising within 500 feet of school grounds, playgrounds, child daycare, public parks, or libraries, this is too short a distance to ensure that our children will not be walking and be exposed to marketing as they're walking or driving within our communities. And it is well settled that youth exposure to advertising for tobacco is associated with perceptions of lower risk and increased use of those substances among people. It is the purview of the town of Hempstead to opt out. I suggest you vote to do so. Opting out will help to ensure that our children will not be exposed to pro-use messaging while casually walking or driving in our communities. Additionally, opting out will act as a protective factor, helping to ensure that our children will not experience both acute and long-term health risks. Do you want me to finish? It's almost done.
Finish it out.
Yes, thank you. Opting out will also help to ensure that our community's roads are safe and free from drivers under the influence of marijuana. Dr. Eisenstein mentioned many statistics. I won't relate them here. He is really the expert on this, and I bow to him and I thank him for his work. And I thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of our most important and precious charges, our children. Have a good day.
Doctor, you not only have your finger on the pulse of what's going on with our children in all of the schools in Levittown, but you also represent the Nassau County Council of Superintendents, and every one of them are on board feeling the same way that you just stated, that it's really a danger. You know, we're talking about adults a lot, but our whole future is you just summed it up in one big presentation. And I appreciate, from Levittown, being a Levittown resident, your years of service to us. Is this the last time you're going to be before us?
Well,
As superintendent, yes. So I always call it supervisor instead of superintendent. I constantly mix that up. Did that the other night at tree lighting also. But you're a credit to the profession and to our community and to the National Council of Superintendents. So thank you for being here.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Superintendent. And again, congratulations on your advocacy and on your retirement. We are all excited and proud of you. Next, I'm going to call up Superintendent Ruiz. Thank you very much. And I guess I'm also going to say congratulations to you on your retirement as well. So, and thank you for your tireless work. During the pandemic. The both of you have just been tremendous leaders. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for your service to East Rockaway and all the other communities throughout the town of Hempstead. Congrats and good luck on a healthy, happy retirement.
We also have the superintendent of the West Hampton School District here, Ribbon. Did you want to speak or? Okay. Thank you very much. We have Ron Goldman. Morning, Mr. Goldman. Name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Ronald Goldman. I'm the village administrator for the Incorporated Village of Lawrence. I'm here today, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak before the board on behalf of Mayor Alex Edelman and our board. The Village of Lawrence has opted out. We've done it immediately. We did it enthusiastically. We've urged our fellow villages to join us, and they have in fact done so. We're here to urge you to join us as well as we protect our children and our community from something that we believe, other than financial, provides no other benefit to anyone. It's not going to enhance intellectualism. It's not going to enhance sociability. It's not going to enhance health. It's not going to enhance safety. It does nothing but increase revenue for sources that we really are not interested in supporting. We're asking you to join us as we support and protect our neighbors, and most importantly of all, our children and our community. And we ask you to join us in protecting us all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ron, and please extend our thanks to the mayor and the village board for their early action on this important, very important subject. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Goldman. Next, I have Myrna Zisman. Hi, Myrna. Have you go to the back. Thanks. Good morning. If you give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Myrna Zisman. I'm a trustee in the village of Cedarhurst. And I thank you all for inviting us to be part of this very, very important meeting today. I must thank Ron. I agree with him wholeheartedly. We have decided our village to opt out. We think this is a very important thing to do. Our village is a very beautiful village. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep our children healthy and happy. And so, again, we are opting out of the cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee.
Thank you, Trustee. Thank you for joining us here today. Next, I have Liz Boylan. Good morning. If you can name and address for the record, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Liz Boylan, Rockville Center, Town of Hempstead. I'm here to support your marijuana opt-out law. I'm asking you to vote yes on that today, to advise the Office of Cannabis Management that and submit your law as soon as it is passed. I am so proud to have a county health commissioner that speaks intelligently and educates the public on this issue. Unfortunately, this information is not available in the media as much as we would like it to be. I find it reprehensible that you have somebody sitting in Albany that'll have control over our entire state that happens in our town and in our county. The fact that our county can't opt out and they limit it to just towns and villages. When you see young people that are flourishing with their education, with their dreams, it's very rewarding, and I commend all the school superintendents that came out today out of their busy schedules. You are the infantry. You are on the front lines of what you're seeing, what's happening to our youth today, and I commend you, and I can't say enough about what your work. I will also say I was carbon copied on an email from Kellenberg Memorial High School. I believe you had it. They requested that you also opt out. So I request that continue your good work. Please continue to make the town of Hempstead a place for us to raise our families, to live and work. We do not want to become the sixth borough of New York City. We do not want to see our children put in a hole they cannot get out of. And yes, we attended all those Nassau County hearings, and it was a wake-up call. This marijuana is totally profit over people. We don't need it. We don't need another train coming out of the station. So thank you. Pass the law. Advise the Office of Cannabis Management, and continue the good work. And congratulations to all of you winning this year to represent us. Continue your good work, and I thank you.
Liz, I just want to say a thank you to you and Ruth Ann for all the work that you do for the Rockville Center community and the communities that surround Rockville Center. It's been a pleasure working with you on Narcan trainings and a lot of educational opportunities in Rockville Center, and I look forward to next year continued good work. So thank you.
And thank you for all the training and the education you've given us. I also say if any of you have the opportunity to Zoom attend the Nassau County Heroin Task Force. It is made up of incredible people in recovery, in law enforcement, in clergy, and they are unbelievable with the information. What we're coming down to is it's going to come down to education and prevention. I also ask that if you can also post signs in all the parks, beaches, and town-owned properties that no smoking marijuana, include that in your smoking bill, and also update your social host law. So thank you, pass the bill, and we look forward to continually working you on making the town of Hempstead a great place to live, work, and raise our families.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you for those really good ideas as well. We appreciate that. Next, I'd like to call up Victoria Johnson. Good morning. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Victoria Johnson, 5 Reeve Road, Rockville Center. I'm here, I'm going to make this very quick. I'm just here to encourage the board to please pass the opt-out law. As several people have already stated, this is money over people. There's no reason for it. Last year, there were statistics that for every dollar that was procured from the sale of cannabis, there would be more than $4 spent on rehab, policing, various other items. So it doesn't look profitable, and even if it was profitable, it should not be a consideration to pass this law when our children can get hurt, and even adults. There are a lot of adults who also smoke. So I'm just encouraging you to please pass this law. I think it's very important. And once that train leaves the station, it can't be put back. It cannot be put back. Keep that in mind. So if a lot of negative things start happening, we can't change it. We can't say now we're going to change the law, because we all know that won't happen. So please pass this opt-out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Ruth Ann McCormick. Morning, name and address for the record.
Good morning, Ruth Ann McCormick, Rockville Center Coalition for Youth, Rockville Center, New York. I have handouts for all the members of the town board. I guess I'll give them to Kate when I'm done. But I want to thank you for having this hearing, and I want to request that and support your opt-out of the retail marijuana in the town of Hempstead. Our mayor, Fran Murray, opted out in our village, and we are very happy that he did that, as shops had opened in anticipation of being able to sell marijuana, get retail licenses. They had marijuana flags flying in front of their stores on Sunrise Highway. It was attracting our youth. They were going there just to see this flag. They were happy that they had flags. And I spoke to him and I said, you know, I don't think it's going to happen here. And he said it is, and I'm ready. So we do not need this in the town of Hempstead. We also have our colleagues in the state of California, a group of moms who have seen firsthand the destruction that the marijuana legalization has done to their youth. They have formed a huge coalition. They have received federal funding, and we do not want to see what happened to their youth happen to our youth, any of our youth. We have seen firsthand in Rockville Center the mental anguish that our youth are suffering, and many of them do turn to marijuana and other substances, thinking that they can self-medicate and improve their health. We have seen it in the opposite direction. We have seen suicides. We have a consortium of school districts that have a mental health facility that they've partnered with in Rockville Center because of the anguish that the youth are suffering right now. So please do everything you can to protect the future of our youth. And I want to say, everyone says the youth are our future. They're our present. And we need to keep our youth in the present and healthy in the present, because they won't have a future. And thank you again for everything you're doing. And if there's anything you need from us, we're here for you. We want to partner with the town on our initiatives of education, prevention, and keeping our youth healthy and our community healthy. Maureen McCormick spoke at the Heroin Prevention Task Force meeting last week about how there's a challenge of marijuana smokers, young marijuana smokers, and driving. And the more they smoke, the faster they drive. And she's seen firsthand how this challenge has killed many of our young people on the southern state, on other highways in our county and in our town. So this is a real challenge that these young people have, and it's happening. When you smoke marijuana, she says they drive faster, and she's seen what that does. So thank you.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Thank you for your advocacy for the youth in Rockville Center. Very lucky to have you.
Thanks, Ruth Ann.
Next, I have Tony McDonald. Okay, there we go. Adelaide Pecora.
You were so good.
Yep, you're taking a pass on that? This is great. I'm just going through it. Joanne Pfeiffer? Good morning. Your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Joanna Finfer. I'm from 64 Yorktown Street in Rockville Center, New York. I have a little bit of a diversion from the bulk of people who have come up here and spoke today. So I'm a medical marijuana patient, and I guess you could say, in this particular case, a legal cannabis enthusiast. And right now, if I wanted to buy safe, regulated products, I have to either drive to Carle Place, which is nowhere near my house, or take the train into Queens to go to Forest Hills. And those are the safest and closest dispensaries that I can even go to pick up my medication. Traveling half an hour or longer just to pick up this medicine can not only be very inconvenient, but very unsafe as well. I've already been disappointed in my village for so far deciding to opt out of legal cannabis retail sales. But, you know, keeping the bars as if everybody who is drunk is going to call an Uber. So, I'm calling on the town of Hempstead to allow access to legal cannabis, while other cities, villages, and towns are choosing to close their doors on the opportunities it can bring us. When you choose to opt out of legal retail establishments or businesses that allow on-site consumption, you choose to opt out on drug education. When you choose to opt out on revenue to fix our roads that have been destroyed by potholes and other weathering. When you choose to opt out, you allow for black and gray markets to continue to operate, who will sell to our children. After all, drug dealers do not ID, and when you go into a dispensary, they not only ID you once, but twice. When you choose to opt out, you put your constituents at risk trying to consume it. When you choose to opt out, you keep legal prices higher by withholding the supply to demanding customers. Now, I'm just throwing this out there that when I go to Carle Place to try to get my medication, once again, there's typically a line around the store, usually into the parking lot. Now, this usually happens on weekends or sale days, and it can take a lot of time to get in and out. And this is horrible for a number of reasons, but it's certainly, at least, inconvenient and unsafe for patients and their caregivers. By opting in, you are allowing the demand, which is clearly already here in at least medical form, to have more supply and safe access to it. The consequences of opting out, especially financially, will hurt us the longer we stay out of legal cannabis. Fear tactics are holding us back. Please don't do this to us. And as cliche as this is, please keep the hemp in Hempstead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pfeiffer. Okay. Next, I'm going to call Barry Walensky. Barry Walensky? Barry. Did you? Morning, name and address for the record, please.
Barry Walensky, Belmore, Town of Hempstead. Good morning, Supervisor Clavin, members of the board. Thank you for the privilege of speaking to this issue. I would like to focus us today on exactly what is under consideration this morning. It is not the legalization of marijuana. That decision was made for us by the legislature. What is being considered by the town this morning is arguably a more complex and difficult issue. We're here to listen to our neighbors so that the board can make an informed decision about one simple aspect of the law. The town has until December 31st to opt out of permitting retail stores and on-site consumption businesses from operating in the town of Hempstead. If the town opts out, it may reconsider the option and opt in at some point in a later date. But if the town opts in, it cannot ever opt out again. The issue becomes whether we know and understand enough about the details of the drug and the details of this law to assure that opting in is wise. Or are these questions about the drug and about the law which we need greater clarity and therefore a slower process? Alcohol, tobacco, prescription drugs, and vape systems are examples of what our society has considered in the past in terms of drugs. And yes, society has made costly errors with the ways in which we represent and market these drugs. A new mood-altering drug can be introduced into the culture, but we don't have to repeat past mistakes in bringing it into the marketplace. The law as proposed may be an entrepreneur's dream, but it is also an addiction professional's nightmare of unanswered questions. Our approach today to today's decision needs to be informed by history and based on science. I am confident that the evidence-based science will provide answers to the questions that we have, just not this week. The cannabis industry's marketing campaign will be powerful and persuasive and will impact children. Science informs us that clearly 10 to 14% of people that begin drug use will end with a medical condition known as substance abuse disorder. That's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of children and families will confront this diagnosis. And we don't yet have the science to tell us who will escape unscathed from use and who will live tragic lives. Public safety will be affected by those that drive under the influence. Yet we do not have an instrument or a standard to measure impairment as we do with alcohol. Are we certain that there's a sufficient laboratory and personnel power to ensure the safe supply of cannabis? One tested for the THC levels, possible contaminants that can cause medical complications for consumers like pesticides and mold. There are quality of life issues to consider.
Barry?
In what part of our community do you want to see a retail store for marijuana?
Mr. Linsky.
Yeah, Barry, so to sum up, you are recommending that we opt out as someone who has had over 30 years plus experience as a drug and alcohol abuse counselor, correct?
We need to understand that policy outpacing research and knowledge is not safe, and I strongly recommend to the town board that they determine that Hempstead should opt out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Barry. Next, I have Susan Blauner. Good morning. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Susan Blonner. I'm the director of the Saving Lives 5 Towns Drug and Alcohol Coalition, located in Cedarhurst. First, I want to say good morning to Supervisor and the Town Board. Thank you for allowing me these few moments to speak. I'm here representing the youth, and I'm here representing the coalition. To know what happens if the dispensaries would be allowed into the community, I am extremely experienced. I'm a transplant from Los Angeles, California, to the beautiful 5 Towns. I chose to live here in the 5 Towns. I can tell you how the communities go on a downward spiral as the dispensaries are allowed to come in and lounges are allowed to take place. It is something that no one in this community wants to see. You don't want to see how the youth are able to obtain access to marijuana, and access they will be able to obtain. No matter how many rules and regulations you put into place, they will always be the beneficiaries of having someone older or someone that is able to get a hold of the products. We also know how edibles come into place, how many children will be at stake, how many pets who are able to, when people bring these things into their home. So I am here to support the opt-out, and I know that the board will make sure to take the right decision on behalf of the families, of the communities of the town of Hempstead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming down today. Next, I have John Gunther.
My name is John Gunther.
Name and address for the record. Thank you.
83 Silver Lane, Levittown, New York. I'm also the Nassau County Libertarian Party Executive Chairman. I am urging the board, and not just the board, the people, the community of this town, to opt in of the sale of cannabis. It's not a problem of revenue or anything like that. It's about people, it's about saving lives, and it's about addiction, recovery, and death. Now, what happens when there is no sale in stores or things like that? People go to the black market. In Connecticut, recently, they just posted statistics about 2 days ago that all of their cannabis-related hospitalizations were because of laced cannabis from the black market, from the streets. If we have stores if we have places here to be able to sell, we can have safe, easy access to safe, legal cannabis, where people are not going to the black market, to the streets, to get into bad drug deals or get laced product that will put them in the hospital. This helps with recovery. The recovery of people who are on worse drugs or are addicted to bad drugs. They can use marijuana, cannabis, to get off of these horrible bad drugs that are worse and put them in the hospital. And we see this all the time. I had my friend, and the board may know her, in the past, 10 years ago, Natalie Schiappa, who I have a tattoo of her on my arm, died over heroin. If there was easy, safe access to cannabis, she would not have died. There's other problems. There is the medical, I know someone just spoke about her medical issues. She has to drive far. We want easy access for people who have medical issues, who don't have to go out their way, who, if they're stuck at home, can go down the block and get that easy, that safe cannabis that's not laced with drugs. Not having this here will cause more deaths. It will cause more problems than we see now. One of the other issues, sorry, give me 1 second. Yes. So one of the other issues is what happens when the towns around us allow it in their towns and not in our towns. What happens is all those drug dealers in the streets come to the town of Hempstead. The ones who are for opting out are the strongest protectors of the drug dealer in the streets.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gunther, thank you very much
and everything else
for
that
being here today.
Said, that's all BS.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to bring up Joanne Crustanovo. Joanne Costanova? Okay. Paul Corbett? Riff, morning. If you give your name and address for the record, thank you.
My name is Paul Corbett. I live in the village of Island Park. So to start this off, one thing that you guys are really ignoring here is personal responsibility. You can legalize whatever you want, but in reality, as John just said, there will be drug dealers strolling in the streets of Nassau if anyone chooses to opt in. Also, not for nothing, marijuana is safer than alcohol. Simply put, we know how to measure alcohol, right? But how many drunken driving accidents are going on? While how many people are dying of marijuana overdoses? Not many, because it's only done with fentanyl. And also, not for nothing, if they want to drive high, they can take an Uber just like they do with alcohol. Thank you. I yield my time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Next, I have Sean Corbett. Hey, good morning. Have your name and address for the record, please?
Good morning. My name is Sean Corbett. I am as well from the village of Island Park and the twin brother of Paul Corbett, the man who just spoke. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I have been using medical marijuana for roughly a year. And I have friends who have physically smoked marijuana laced with fentanyl and have been hospitalized, nearly died because of this. It is something that should be considered, not just for the safety of your children, but for everybody, because your children will buy marijuana. They will buy it, they already are, and they already are smoking it. If it already exists, it is already being tampered with. We as marijuana users are advocating for safe marijuana for everybody. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Next, I have Joseph Ardipietro. If you go to the back there, give your name and address for the record, that'd be awesome.
Good morning, Supervisor Clavin and the town board. My name is Joe Adipetro. My address is 170 South Forest Avenue, Rockville Center, New York. I'm here today. I'm in favor of opting out. I'm also a member of the Rockville Center Coalition for Youth, so I'm here with the ladies and gentlemen from the village of Rockville Center. I'm also very happy and proud that our mayor, Fran Murray, decided to opt out also. And, you know, I'm someone, as Mr. Blakeman mentioned about Barry Walensky, who has 30 years of experience as a substance abuse counselor. You know, I also do too. I've been providing mental health and substance abuse counseling services here in the town of Hempstead, Nassau County, for over 30 years. And I provide services to people who've been arrested for impaired driving. And I've seen what alcohol, drugs, and marijuana destroy families. It's actually hard for me to even believe that this is even being considered, legalizing marijuana, a drug. We all see, it's hard to even, you read the newspaper, you put on the news, there's always stories about, and even more so lately in the past 10 years, this has really gotten the spotlight in this country like I've never seen before. When did we ever hear candidates running for president talk about mental health and substance abuse issues? It's one of probably the top 3 issues spoken about in this country. The other day, I drive past the new arena every day on the Cross Island, and I see these big advertisement signs for Heineken beer being flashed on top of the arena. And I'm saying, you know, how could that even be allowed? It's like we have alcohol flashing signs on the roadways where we know that alcohol kills people in cars. And I'm thinking in my mind, maybe one day we'll see marijuana sign advertisements flashing on top of the arena. So I'm in total agreement with every person who spoke here today about opting out. I'm also, my most important role in life is that I'm a father, and I have 2 teenagers, and you know, and I think for the youth of our town, it sends a really bad message to legalize.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for your advocacy in the village. We appreciate it. Jesse Bravo? Jesse Bravo? Okay. Marissa Ruggiero? Oh. Well, Marissa, you know you're on deck. Hold on. All right. Good morning. If your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Jesse Bravo, and I'm from the town of Oceanside, and I'm representing my company, The Promised Land, New York. And thank you guys for being here in town, my neighbors. And, you know, I'm a fairly religious guy. And, you know, I don't drink, and I don't do any drugs. And, you know, I told my son, if I ever found drugs in his room, I would throw them out. Lo and behold, I found marijuana, and I had to be that guy. And I threw my son out. And for a year, I thought about this as I thought about the ramifications. And there was a lot of thinking. And when I heard that dispensaries of marijuana was being brought throughout the United States, my first knee-jerk reaction is like, you know, you just throw your arms around and you just go nuts. After all my thinking, what I came up to when I finally recreated a relationship with my son is that I was hurt by my ego that my son was doing something I wasn't doing. And the fact is, right now, in all of your towns and all your houses, people are using drugs whether you like it or not, and nobody wants to admit it. And so I'm the last guy that I thought would say to opt in after my experience. During my time as an investment banker, especially now, I have met the head of the Cannabis Control Board on 3 times, and I will be testifying in front of MRTA and the Cannabis Control Board in the first quarter of next year. They're making this a process that is so difficult for dispensary owners that if they move the wrong way, they're shut down. And that's including not advertising in front of your kids. And we're addressing a market that's already here. Whether you put this in your neighborhood or somewhere else, they're still going to bring it in. But the concern that really comes to me is I've already been called over 50 times to set up illegal cannabis dispensaries. And this is going to be a very big ongoing issue for your neighborhoods because it's been passed here in New York as legal, you cannot remove these dispensaries under any criminal act. Now it would only be legislation that you are not enacting. And so for me, I feel like opting in, you address it, you let people go where they're supposed to do, use zoning laws to put these dispensaries where you want them to be, not where they want to be. But more importantly, people get to buy what they're already buying right now, and they get to do it in the most safe manner because I tell you, the amount of process that's going in from seed to sale, when I tell you, is insane. And the last thing I want to talk about is some of the statistics. For that 4% increase of fatalities in California, what that chart doesn't say is what the fatalities were attributed to. You just assumed it was marijuana. Could have been to opioid,
Okay.
it could have been to alcohol,
All right.
reckless engagement.
Thanks, Mr. Bravo. We appreciate you coming in today. If you'd like to supplement it with an email with the stats, we appreciate it. We don't have to yell in the audience. It's not polite. Next, I'm going to ask Marissa Ruggiero to please come up.
Good morning. My name
Hi, how you doing today? Morning. Hi, can you give your name and address for the record, please?
Marissa Ruggiero. I'm the youth coordinator for the Saving Lives 5 Towns Drug and Alcohol Coalition, and I'm also a resident within the town of Hempstead. I have the pleasure of working with a lot of our youth within our communities, and as a licensed social worker as well, I have heard their mental health struggles, and I've also heard their concerns. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of our coalition, and on behalf of our youth, I am urging the board to vote to opt out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much for coming today. Next, I have Stu Kroll. Good morning, Mr. Kroll. If you give your name and address for the record.
Sure. Stu Kroll, Great Neck. I'm going to make this really, really brief. I am actually in favor of you opting out. The only thing I'm going to say about that is that I think this should have been a ballot initiative. I don't think legislators should really be deciding. I think the people should really have decided this. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I have Ryan Stanton. Good morning. If your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Ryan Stanton, Mineola, Kellen Place, Mineola.
And if I may, before I start my statement, I just want to offer my condolences to the Ra family. Joe was a wonderful public servant, and his son, Assemblyman Ed Ra's, carried on that tradition. So, I had a prepared public statement on this issue. A lot of it's been covered. I will submit it to the clerk for the record. What I do want to touch on is a number of points have been made about youth access, and some folks, far fewer, have raised the point and the issue that ultimately the town, by opting out, is opting out of the ability to set the framework and regulate that access. You have New York City immediately to the west. You have the town of Babylon to the east, both of which have either affirmatively or inadvertently opted into the sale of adult use cannabis. And so, as was pointed out, whether the town chooses to opt out today or not, you're going to be dealing with the implications of the legalization of adult use cannabis. And so I take no issue with a lot of the concerns folks have about youth accessing it. I'm here on behalf of the labor movement. Our affiliates, our members, we're your neighbors, we're part of the community, and ultimately that's not something that we want to see. What's important to us is that as access takes shape, that our elected representatives, who we trust and have faith in, have a voice in how it takes shape. And so ultimately, a number of the issues that have been raised are relitigating whether or not cannabis should or should not be legal. And our movement's not taking a position on that here today. We're advocating that ultimately not only is access done and regulated in a way that's going to be safe for consumers, in particular, our movement has an interest in ensuring that it's going to be safe for workers. And so there's going to be people working in this industry. And so if we know that it's takes shape in a fair, sound, safe way for communities, it's going to be fair and safe for those workers. The medical marijuana industry exists in New York State today. It has existed for a number of years, and that is a largely unionized industry. Those people are your neighbors. They earn a good living. They have benefits and ultimately are able to provide for their families and put food on the table. We're here today to make the case that when adult use cannabis becomes legal, January of next year, right? In certain communities it will. In certain communities maybe you'll have opted out. Utilization will be here, and we want to advocate that the jobs that are created through utilization are going to be good quality jobs. So again, I'll submit my statement for the record, and I just appreciate again your service and commitment to the community for hearing everybody today.
Ryan, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind remarks for Joe Ra, and of course we'll make your statement part of the record. We appreciate it. Next I have Neil Gonzalvo. Good morning. If you name and address for the record, please.
Neil Gonzalvo, Mineola, New York. So my name is Neil. I'm the Executive Vice President at Local 338 RWDSU UFCW, a labor union that represents 13,000 working people across New York State, including almost 400 union families who live within the town of Hempstead. Local 338 members are employed in a variety of industries, including cannabis, where these workers are employed in cultivation, processing, manufacturing, distribution, and in retail dispensaries. I am proud to speak on behalf of our cannabis members who make up about 70% of New York's current medical cannabis industry and encourage the town board to oppose opting out of cannabis retail businesses. With the recent legalization of adult use cannabis, misinformation about dispensaries can lead to the loss of opportunity for responsible operators, the jobs and economic infusion they can bring to a community. As a union in New York State representing these workers, we bring a unique perspective to the industry and those who work in this industry, as well as ease concerns that we've heard from community members over our years working in the cannabis space. First, I'd like to share with you the economic realities of working in the cannabis industry. Through our collective bargaining agreements, we have built a standard for what these jobs can and should be: full-time, family-sustaining careers. Our members receive guaranteed wage increases each year, and starting salaries for dispensary workers range from $18 to $22 an hour, with pharmacists at these dispensaries starting between $60 and $65 an hour. and members at our cultivation and manufacturing facilities are starting at between $18 to $25 an hour. Local 338 members also receive quality, affordable health insurance for themselves and their families at no cost to them, generous paid time off, retirement benefits, and access to scholarships and no-cost college degrees, amongst other critical on-the-job protections. We believe that by investing in our members, we can help shape an industry that provides opportunities for growth and can support not only our members, but their families as well. Let me speed this up. I'd like to submit my record.
Absolutely.
I'm going to speed it up. I only have 20 seconds left. Cannabis dispensaries are and will be heavily regulated by the state, right down to their advertising and window displays. Currently, these businesses are almost unrecognizable unless you know what you're looking for, due to their discreet look, and there's no reason these businesses should be zoned into industrial areas. We should not be stigmatizing legitimate businesses, and workers and customers should feel safe and comfortable at dispensaries.
Neil, I do have the 3 minutes, and I know a couple of people will scream, I'm not giving you 30 minutes.
One more.
If you can tie it up, and of course you can make your statement part of the record, you know that.
Opting out will deprive residents and workers of new economic opportunities, and I call on the members of the town board to vote against opting out. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for your representation in 338 local. Carmine Fiore. Neil, were you able to give the statement up? Just a minute? Okay. I want to make sure. Good morning. If you give your name and address to the record.
Good morning. My name is Carmine Fiore. Address is 11 Old Farm Road, Levittown, New York. And I want to address over here everyone. First off, I want to like to thank everyone for their time. And I have something prepared. My name is Carmine Fiore. I'm a disabled Army veteran, also a veteran of the New York City Fire Department. Cumulatively, I have approximately 20 years of serving my country, state, and city. All right, and I'm here to urge the board to opt into cannabis sales. All right, cannabis sales is legal in New York. All right, so now we're here to decide whether the towns should opt in or opt out. So, town of Hempstead is the biggest town in the country. All eyes are on us. All right, New York cannabis industry is going to be built by New Yorkers for New Yorkers, and we are the people who are building the foundation for this industry. And the MRTA has given the towns a lot of safeguards. From some of the questions that the boards are asking some of the members to speak, I'm going to assume that you guys did not read the MRTA. And if you did, you didn't read it to its entirety. And I suggest that you guys do before you vote on it. It's only 160 pages, and my 8-year-old son has read Goosebump books longer than this. So I would like to just highlight some of the things that the MRTA has given the towns that opt in. Preventing the sales of children, all right? Preventing the sales of children. I've heard multiple people mention this, all right? The MRTA is prevents this by a two-step verification process, where the customer's ID is scanned once at the door and once at the register, all right? It is not possible, the MRTA is not catered to youths, as I heard somebody say. Let me also bring your attention to Article 4, Section 78 of the MRTA that states that the responsibilities of retail locations must adhere to adopting and maintaining a strict security system, adopting and maintaining a strict tracking system, adopting and maintaining a strict record-keeping system, adopting and maintaining a strict surveillance system, adopting and relating a strict cannabis compliance system. So if you see any child under the age of 21 with some type of cannabis, you could literally get that piece of cannabis, look it up, and you can find exactly who bought that and where. All right, so there is no diversion to the youths when it comes to cannabis. By having a retail dispensary, the town undercuts the illegal cannabis market. All right, somebody mentioned that in Connecticut, there has been cases of tainted cannabis because, let me back up a little bit. Connecticut is not a legal state in any medical or recreational. So they found cases where the cannabis was tainted with fentanyl, and multiple people were hospitalized because of this. If Connecticut had access to safe cannabis, that wouldn't have happened. And when I say safe cannabis, I'm not just talking about fentanyl and heroin laced in cannabis. I'm talking about hard metals that are not tested when you're buying it from the legacy market. I want to thank you guys for your time. And what is somewhere I could send my...
You can provide it to the town clerk, either via email or in writing. And thank you very much for coming today, and thank you for your service to the country. Next, I have Allison Erickson. Good morning. If your name and address for the record.
Hello. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It's Allison Erickson. I'm from Oceanside, New York. And I stand before you today as a resident of Oceanside, a representative of Oceanside Safe Coalition. I'm also a mother and a longtime advocate for the safety of the youth in my hometown. It's moments like this that we must recognize the responsibility that we do have as their leaders and their decision makers. And our children do deserve to grow up in communities that are designed to protect them. So I'm here today to educate and provide some concerns about the retail sales and stores for consumption sites for marijuana. As it currently stands, in 2019, Oceanside's rates of youth consumption for alcohol and marijuana are far above the state average, and this is prior to legalization, mind you. Root causes to this, according to our data, are low perception of harm and social access. National research demonstrates that substance use among youth increases as the perception of risk and social disapproval declines. And with the local commercialization of marijuana, we do need to ask ourselves, what message will this send to today's youth? Will selling marijuana and synthetic marijuana products make our communities safer? Will it make them healthier? Or will it be normalized, more available, and in more potent and addicting forms? Marijuana concentrates include butane hash oil, shatter, crumble, dabs, and wax, and the THC potency varies widely in these products. According to recent studies, today's average marijuana flower contains about 17% THC, though independent studies in legal states found the percentage to be even higher, around 30%. Concentrates and edibles contain an average of 55% THC, but many marijuana retailers promote products containing up to 95 to 99% THC. Currently, no state has limited potency of THC manufactured products. State regulatory frameworks are struggling to keep up with their licensed shops. For instance, in Oregon, there is one state inspector per every 83 marijuana licenses. According to the newly established Cannabis Management Bureau, there will be no licenses issued until at least March of 2023. So not one penny in tax revenue can be collected before then. Since we have the ability to opt back in at any time, what is the rush to do so now when there are currently no set regulations that could potentially keep our communities safer or ensure that these products will stay out of the hands of children? There is currently no drug testing procedure or device for marijuana equivalent to a breath chemical alcohol test. Local on-site consumption would threaten the overall safety of our roads and require more enforcement from our local precincts. We do understand that the prospect of the sales tax is enticing. However, please consider that the increased cost of the town of Hempstead in terms of law enforcement, medical, substance use, mental health services will more than offset the profit that it has in these states.
Ms. Erickson, it is 3 minutes, and I'll get yelled at if I don't interrupt you either.
I completely understand. Thank you so much for your time.
That's okay. Well, I'd say if you'd like to supplement it, of course you can in writing or an email to the town clerk. We thank you for your advocacy and coming and taking the time here today. So thank you very much.
And
just so
Allie,
it's clear that you're in support of opting out. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Allie, I just want to say thank you for all the work that you do for the Oceanside community. And like I said, to the Rockville Center Youth Coalition, we all look forward to partnering with you in the future on educational events.
Thank you. And Anthony, you've been such an amazing support to our coalition, and we really appreciate you. Thank you guys so much.
He shouldn't have texted you to say that. Next, I'm going to ask Dan Redmond to come on up. Oh, no. Dan's gone. Michael Sciarantino? Okay, I might have pronounced your name wrong, but we're okay. I am nailing it today. Adrian Lopresti? Is Mike, you can go up after or if you don't want to speak. All right, good. Will you get good afternoon? And if you give me name and address for the record.
Great. Adrienne Lopresti from Yes Community Counseling Center, 152 Center Lane, Levittown. So thanks for hearing us, and we won't belabor any points that we agree with today, but on behalf of Yes Community Counseling Center and the Levittown Community Action Coalition, we just want to share that we support opting out. It is our responsibility to put safeguards in place within the town of Hempstead. We know that low perception of harm and accessibility results in early initiation of use. We see that every day with the youth that we work with, and know that addiction really is a pediatric disease that starts early, and when there's low perception of harm, that's when there's more likelihood for use. With a worsening mental health crisis and the opioid epidemic increasing since the pandemic, if there's anything we've learned, that having safeguards in our schools and in our homes is not enough. We must also have them in our community, and that's where we ask the town to support our efforts and opt out. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to come today.
While you're there, I just wanted to advise everybody that the Levittown Community Action Coalition, which you started with Yes in the old YAM building, it consists of the students, educators, law enforcement, clergy, elected officials, merchants, parents, and many, many others. And your mission is to educate, prevention, and treatment of these problems that are arising from marijuana. And the students that come and speak to, I'm part of the coalition, and when the students from the elementary schools around come and speak to us in the middle schools, it's heartbreaking to hear what they have to go through, and we have to, it's our job to protect the community. So I thank you for supporting us in the efforts that we're going to be making, I hope, today.
Thank you for your support, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Supervisor.
Yes.
I have a letter here from Hempstead schools concerning the marijuana.
Okay.
And I'd like to make it a portion of the record.
Okay, we will make that record letter from the opting out, supporting opting out for the Hempstead School District. Okay. Next I have Ali Charlene. Good afternoon. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. Charlene Ali, Valley Stream. I originally had a bit of a statement prepared, but I don't want to be redundant. I would urge the board members or anybody in the audience who have questions, please read, or I would urge the board to please make available the actual bill, the MRTA. Many of the questions that are being asked, especially about the testing of product, what products will be available, concentration levels. The law is passed in New York. It is legal. There are a myriad of licenses available for adult use. The only two that we can opt out of is consumption spaces and recreational sales. Recreational sales, it is going to be super hard for anybody that wants to play in this game to get into it. The cost for licensing is going to be astronomical because of all of the safeguards provided in the MRTA to keep our community safe. Also, I feel that it's the responsibility as a parent. I have 2 children in our elementary school system, and they understand what they're allowed to touch in the house and what they're not. If you have alcohol in your home, be a responsible adult as you are and a responsible parent, and make sure your children don't have access to it or understand that they can't have access to it. That is what the responsible adult use program is about. Also, too, by opting in, the board, the community, has every right and power to shape what cannabis looks like in the community. You can say where they can be. You can provide the times of operations. You can make sure that all of the safety situations and issues that you have are addressed 100%. Tested safe, quality products need to be available on the market for medical patients and for adult recreational use. The amount of money that we are saying, I know that we're saying, putting profit over people. The boroughs will get the money. We have the union come up and speak and talk about how many quality jobs these dispensaries and owners can provide within the community. Taxpayers putting money back into our communities. We take all of these bonds every year to fix our school and to get funding for things, civic issues. The cannabis consumers and the cannabis community can put that money back into the community. And it is the responsibility for anybody that has a cannabis company to put education into the community. It is written into the MRTA as a responsibility for people who are in this industry to put education back into the community. And that comes in the form of different organizations set up to put money into the community and for us to come out and deal with civic issues. Okay. So in conclusion, I support us opting in.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Next, I have Judy Vining. Hi, good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Judy Vining. I live in Long Beach, but I am representing Long Beach Aware, which is a coalition that includes Island Park, Lido Beach, Point Lookout, and East Atlantic Beach. So we're certainly part of the town of Hempstead as well. I'm not going to repeat what's been said before, but I want you to know that there are several things that we consider important. It is certainly about safeguarding our children. It is about safeguarding our communities. We take a community approach. What we do know is that if you vote to opt out, you have absolutely nothing to lose. You can always vote in at any moment afterwards. You have one opportunity to vote to opt out, and that is until December 31st of this year. That gives you time to look at whatever regulations come down through the Office of Cannabis Management. Not one regulation has been written yet, so you can't possibly have the ability to respond to it and see how it's going to shape the town of Hempstead and all of the surrounding communities. There's that. There's also the fact that the Office of Cannabis Management has stated that there will be absolutely no licenses given for the next 18 months at least, because it will take them that long to promulgate the regulations, post them, have response from private citizens as well as public bodies to what they are. So there will be not one penny of revenue that will be available to any municipality or village or town in the state of New York until then. The other thing that people keep pointing to is that there are safeguards, there's ID, there's you can't sell to anyone under 21. Well, I would just point you to our alcohol industry. That hasn't worked out very well. There are fraudulent IDs that are used on a regular basis. But more than that, it's the acceptance and the role modeling that it's okay, and the access that kids have to their parents who, after in the post-COVID years, and during COVID, we know that alcohol consumption has skyrocketed. There's no reason to believe that the same thing would not and will not happen with marijuana. It was referenced before that it's a cure for opioid addiction. The science does not support that. So I urge you to take this one chance to opt out and wait and see. There's nothing to lose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Stephen Grumwald. Good afternoon. Your name and address for the record?
Good afternoon. Stephen Grunwald. I live in Baldwin. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I'm looking at this whole thing as a realist. People have been using cannabis for thousands of years. Seeds were found in ancient pyramids. It's no worse than alcohol or tobacco, which kill tens of thousands of people every year in the U.S. I can go to a doctor. He can prescribe 3 different kinds of synthetic heroin. Why is that legal? Every state that legalized marijuana has seen a reduction in opioid use, especially in the elderly, because they're the ones with all the aches and pains. Trust me, I know. Honestly, I live in Baldwin. Everybody here knows what Baldwin's like. Empty stores. 30 years they've been talking about revitalizing it. You know what? Why don't we get some of these big marijuana companies in there to put up some nice stores? It'll attract some bars and restaurants. Instead of all these bogus churches, my school taxes just went up $600 a year, and like we need some businesses. You know, you need business to take over and build things, and let's give it a try. So I ask, you know, it's legal now. They need to regulate it. People have spoken about kids getting poisoned with it. Well, you know, just allowing them to put candy wrappers on edibles is insane. Like, if you don't want kids to use it, you have to have it look like it's medicine, which it is. Ultimately, it's medicine, just like alcohol, just like tobacco. I know Dr. Eisenstein, he said that it's bad for your lungs. Well, breathing any smoke is. Cigarette smoke, wood smoke. People are going to use it anyways. Really, it's legal. Regulate it, tax it, put the money back into the community, lower our school taxes, our property taxes. So I'm asking the town board respectfully to opt in and allow these stores. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming today. Next, I have Eric Jurist. There you go. Back to the podium there, sir. Good afternoon. If you gave me an address, name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
My name is Eric Jurist. I've been a resident of Wantagh for the last 45 years. I have no prepared statement. I will speak totally extemporaneously. I assume that the members of this august body are fully aware of the dangers of alcohol and nicotine. Yet, I do not hear anyone or have not heard anyone saying that places where alcohol can be purchased and consumed and/or nicotine can be purchased or consumed should also be banned and closed. Why not? The failure of this august body to address those evils while attempting to possibly cut off some other evil which you don't really know all that much about strikes me, quite frankly, and I'm sorry to say this, as hypocritical. It only points to one conclusion. Representative Omar Illman had it right. It's all about the Benjamins, okay? I urge you to opt in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next I have Kevin Wesley. Good afternoon. If your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Wesley. I live in a senior community in East Meadow. We hear that there are a lot of possible beneficial points about marijuana, but because it's a Class 1 drug, we're really not sure. So I'm going to talk about just my personal experience, and as such, it is beyond protestation. I dated a woman years ago who was legally blind and had glaucoma. After we smoked our first joint together, she started to cry because she said, "I never realized you have such beautiful blue eyes." As a member of the senior community, we have, as someone mentioned, a lot of aches and pains. My wife suffers terribly from arthritis in the knees and in the hands. Her thumb will sometimes lock, and she's in tremendous pain. Even though she got a prescription, we could not buy CBD, I think it's called, ointment or oil here locally or get it online a couple of years ago. Fortunately, we have a place down in Florida, so we were able to get it. She's been taking it ever since, and after a couple of weeks, the arthritis has diminished dramatically. The main issue here with not opting in is that you are forcing people to go to the black market to purchase it. When I used to smoke years ago, I stopped smoking because I realized that ultimately my money was going to a drug lord someplace. And the guy that I used to get my stash from, he would make up names, Chiba Chiba, Maui Wowie, all sorts of things. But you never really knew what you were getting. One time he told me, "This isn't as potent as the stuff you had last time, but you can make love for hours." I wanted to change my order from an ounce to a pound, but he didn't have the supply. Anyway, I'm 73. It's on my bucket list. I would prefer to do it legally, but there is plenty of access that I can get, and I would ask you to please opt in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Atale Manis. Good afternoon. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Helene Manis from Merrick, New York. Recreational marijuana is legal in New York State, and it will be bought and used in the town of Hempstead, whether you opt out or not. It will bring in so much tax money, and if you opt out, the town will get nothing. Also, medical marijuana has been legal for a few years, and there have been no problems around where it is sold to adults. And it will be regulated. You cannot stop people from using it, so all the problems you were talking about doesn't matter. The important point is, do you want the tax dollars or not? With these tax dollars, you can lower our school taxes and property taxes, which is something that is the most important thing to most people who live here. My last point is that all these terrible things you're saying about marijuana, but nobody talks about all the harm alcohol has, but it's sold here everywhere. And it's always okay for people to go out drinking alcohol. And there's a lot more damage done by drunk people than there are by stoned people. And whether you believe it or not, most teenagers smoke pot. And it would be much better if it was regulated, because it would be much harder for them to get it, because you have to be 21 and you have to show ID. And hopefully it would stop all the illegal drug deals that happen right by our schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next I have Colleen Mooney.
Good afternoon. I'm Colleen Mooney. I live at 35 Riverside Drive in Rockville Center.
Hi.
I'm here because I encourage you to opt out. I, again, have a personal story. I'm not going to go into any of the data that was mentioned because you can look that up on your own. But I have a grandson who unfortunately started in his freshman year of high school and went progressively, couldn't understand why his grades were going down, and he was just, very lethargic. And ultimately, in his senior year, he was put out of the private high school, and he admitted to us that he had smoked marijuana every day since the beginning of high school, and unbeknownst to us. He isn't interested in college at all, so he tried to pursue the Marines. And the best thing that happened was he had to be drug-free in order to, to be admitted, and he had to go through this rigorous training. And he turned to me one day and said, Nanny, I'm not addicted to marijuana anymore. I'm addicted to exercise. And I was so happy. But I've seen it not only in my grandchild, but I've seen it in my other family members as well. And again, I'm not addressing any other issues. I'm just telling you from my heart that I am so thankful that I believe you're going to vote opt out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mooney. Next, I have Julia Sugar. Left, here, Julia, next, okay. Next I have Brendan Black. Brendan Black, your turn. Good afternoon. If you give your name and address to the record.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Brendan Black, and I am a legislative aide to State Assemblyman Keith Brown, who apologized he couldn't be here today. But he sent me here to just to give you a brief statement from, he's a ranking member on the New York Assembly for Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. And I have a little statement, if I may read. Good afternoon, Supervisor Clavin, honorable members of the Town Board. I apologize that I am not able to attend today's public hearing, but I thought it was important to offer my perspective, not only as the Assemblyman for the 12th District, but also as the ranking Assembly member on the Assembly Committee of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse, and a member of the Northport Drug and Alcohol Task Force. So I asked Brendan Black, my legislative aide, to come down to today's public hearing and offer some remarks. I wanted to discuss the looming deadline and requirements in order to opt out of the recently enacted Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, or MRTA, which authorizes the opening of retail recreational cannabis dispensaries, and on-site consumption licenses within town boundaries, unless the town opts out. I am here not to debate the new law. It was passed by the legislature last session and signed into law by the governor, and it is the law of the state. However, and most importantly, MRTA permits cities, towns, and villages to prohibit the issuance of either or both retail dispensary and on-site consumption licenses within their jurisdiction by opting out. With the deadline to opt out quickly approaching, I would urge you to take a prudent approach by, at least for now, prohibiting marijuana establishments until more comprehensive research and regulation are available. I spent a lot of time on this issue since taking office, and there's a lot of information from the states that have legalized marijuana such as California and Colorado. In fact, the Rocky Mountain study from Colorado paints a troubling picture. For instance, increased teen use of marijuana, increased number of traffic accidents, and increased number of more vehicle accident fatalities. As a result, I have drafted. May I finish, sir?
Mr. Black, I'm gonna. You hear people get a little rowdy. What I'll do is I'll ask you to submit the letter. We'll make it part of the record. I hope you understand. Tell the Assemblyman thank you very much for taking the time, and of course it will be part of the record. And thank you for coming and giving the testimony today.
Right, and he's offered his services.
Perfection. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Next, I'm going to call up Alan Rotman. Alan Robert. Good afternoon. If you give your name and address to the record, please.
Alan Robert, Greenlawn, New York. I'm not quite sure what my position is on the issue. I kind of came just to kind of figure out what the dialogue was like. And one of the problems I'm having is that some of the dialogue is, well, we shouldn't support it because like it'll harm the children or it's unsafe. That's meaningful, I guess, to a degree, but the problem is that argument can be used in any sense, right? We saw what happened in Michigan, and obviously there's going to be gun debates and stuff like that, and I imagine there's some people who don't appreciate when it'll harm the children is used in that sector. It shouldn't be used so freely like that, right? Like it's an important public issue. It needs to be captured in its totality, and therefore statements should represent the issue in its totality. It shouldn't just be about safety or risk or the science, because it's about the ethics, it's about culture, it's about tradition. Some of us here are undecided. We need really powerful, important statements that we can use to come to good public policy decisions. So, I think that like if you're going to come here, you're going to speak, try to say more than the children, the safety. Try to generate a statement that is universal, that can apply to all the different concepts that are involved in the issue. So it can be a meaningful public dialogue, and this isn't just kind of people talking, pretending that they're being honest when they're not. And I think one of the ways you can do that is an important issue. Alcohol has no healthcare benefits. Everybody has access to it, and it's legal. If you're against marijuana being legal in this town, but you support alcohol, you should tell us how those two positions are consistent. That's what I'm struggling with. I don't know how you can be consistent in supporting alcohol and you're against marijuana, right? They have to make a decision about what makes sense for them. And, this is supposed to be democracy. We're supposed to be mature. We should be consistent in whatever we're talking about. We should be honest. So, I'm still undecided, but I'd like to see more of the opt-out people come here and explain to us how if you are for alcohol, but you're against marijuana, how do you resolve both those? How do you resolve that contradiction? Unless there's some sort of science that says alcohol is better than marijuana, okay, maybe that may be the case, but you should be able to cite to us like where that science is. It's an ethical kind of issue, and it should be spoken about meaningfully. Don't come up here and just say highly charged emotional statements, because it's more than just your emotions. It's about public society. It's about public life. There are racial, ethical, cultural, traditional, legal implications of this. Your statement needs to represent all of that, so that the public can come to a meaningful conclusion about what it should do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have any other slips. Is there anybody who has not been heard that wishes to be heard but did not fill out a slip? If you please, if that is the case, you walk up to the mic there and give your name and address for the record, please. Good afternoon. Your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Elisa Hinken, 15 Brofmans Road, Inwood, New York. Opting out of the recreational marijuana program in the town of Hempstead deprives those with medical issues and the handicapped who depend on the product for neuromuscular benefits, as well as those in severe pain. You heard previously Mr. Wesley brought to light his issues getting a product for his wife and himself here in New York, and they go to Florida, I don't. I am a medical marijuana patient. I'm a nurse for 46 years. I have specialized in public health and community-based services for the last 33. This is near and dear to my heart because I have never treated a patient who overdosed in marijuana in an emergency room. But I have treated patients who had marijuana laced with PCP and angel dust. Now you have fentanyl on the streets. That is the worst. So get this stuff off the streets, provide health and happiness and fruition to the medical patients that you're running out of the town of Hempstead if you do not opt in, and take it on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. You'd like to be heard on this item? You've not put in a slip? Come on up and give your name and address to the record. You got it for you there, buddy.
Steve Edmondson, Post Office Box 279, Oceanside, New York. And this is like the abortion issue back in the day. When I ran for county legislator and the town board, I mean, you got people for it, you got people against it, and being former law enforcement myself, and catching all the people over at the Coliseum Motor Lodge in East Meadow with pot, then you call the police department and they tell you they don't have enough grams to charge them with it. I'd like to know what happened to my assemblywoman, Missy Miller, who has a handicapped, I think it's a son, it's 4, and she's Republican, for the legalization of marijuana, when she's supposed to be representing the 5 towns, which you have a lot of people here, from the 5 towns and Oceanside.
Yes, sir, Missy Miller did articulate what her position was. She is in favor of medical marijuana. She's in favor of the town of Hempstead opting out of dispensing and selling recreational marijuana. That is her position that she articulated to me.
Okay, and I hope you stick around for public comment because I have some issues that I'd like to address with you as the new elected county executive. And I hope you don't have your inaugural outside like Laura Kerman did and freeze everybody.
Hempstead meeting.
Okay, anybody else wish to be heard on this item who did not put in a slip? If not, may I please have a motion?
Mr. Supervisor, I recommend that we really make sure that we opt out of the marijuana in the town of Hempstead.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
I would like to also, on the record, second that.
Aye.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Supervisor, is it all right if we take 15 minutes? I think the stenographer needs it.
We're going to take a 15-minute break, and I want to thank everyone who came to speak on whatever your position was on it today. We appreciate you coming here today. We'll take a 15-minute break, and we'll restart this meeting at 10 to 1.
You've been signaling? Had she been signaling?